outside the walls of the Gulag in North Korea. He knew only the prison's inhumane rules, and they led him to betray his own parents as they tried to escape. He was then made to watch their execution. He eventually escaped himself and is now trying to find a way to live in a world he didn't even know exists. For tonight's special report, our international editor Lindsay Hilsum has been to meet the first man to escape a North Korean prison.
North Korea is the least mapped country on Earth, but you can see the Gulag from space. North of the capital, Pyongyang, is Camp 14. 30 miles long and 15 wide, it has farms, mines and factories. What you can't see are the 15,000 prisoners and how they're treated. A new book tells the story of a boy who was born in the camp. Shin Dong-hyuk was the child of 2 prisoners who were permitted to have sex as a reward for good behavior. He got no love, almost no education, and so little food he grew up stunted from malnutrition.
The type of food wasn't important to us. What mattered to us was getting food. We ate anything that seemed edible. I even ate a few kernels of corn from cow dung, and we caught mice and ate them. Anything green like grass we ate because we were so hungry.
Line drawings tell the story. There are no photos. Shin was forced to watch when his mother and brother were executed for trying to escape. He wasn't surprised, because aged 13, he was the one who had betrayed them.
Under the prison camp rules, you have to report anything suspicious, even if it's your colleagues or family members. I turned my mother and brother in because I thought I was doing the right thing under the rules. I also thought that by doing so, I would get more food.
Instead, he was imprisoned underground and tortured over a fire as an accomplice. He still thought he'd done the right thing by following the rules. When did you realize that you hadn't done the right thing?
It was only after I went to South Korea and learnt a whole new set of values and cultural norms I started to feel guilty about it. I feel very guilty now.
But it wasn't your fault, was it? It was the system.
I could say so to make myself feel better about my mistake and ease my sense of guilt. But they were my family, so I don't think I can avoid the responsibility and the blame.
Shin knew nothing, not even the name of his country's great leader Kim Il-sung and dear leader Kim Jong-il, responsible for the prison system. He didn't know about North Korea's capital, Pyongyang. He didn't know the world was round. Until, when he was 23, a new prisoner called Park came and told him. They decided to escape together.
From Park, I learned about the world beyond the prison camp for the first time. And listening to his stories, I began to dream about a life outside North Korea. We attempted to escape together. He went first, but unfortunately he was caught in the electric wire. I crawled over him and used his body as a cushion. I managed to escape, but at the time I couldn't afford to look back and check what had happened to him.
Shin escaped Camp 14 on January the 2nd, 2005. He fled to Bukchang, northeast through Hamhung, scavenging and hiding up to Gilju, Chongjin and Musan, crossing the border into China at the end of the month. The North Korean government loves to put on a military parade, but it's only from the accounts of former prisoners like Shin and ex-prison guards that we know anything of what's going on behind the show, and of the North Korean leadership's plans for the future.
One guard has told me, and several guards have told human rights people in Seoul, that if the government is on the verge of falling or perceives it to be falling, there are orders to kill everybody in the camps. In part, I think, to eliminate evidence about what's happened there.
So, Shin's in London and traveling the world, telling and retelling his story, so as many people as possible know what's really happening in North Korea, while he tries to adapt to life outside the prison camp and find a way to deal with what he's endured and what he's done.
조금이라도 이제 저에 대해서 이제 이해하시는데 도움이 될까 해서 저렇게 보여드렸습니다.
I hope this little clip gave you a good background, a little bit information about my story. So that's why I showed this video clip this morning.
지금 작년부터 시작해서 지금 올해까지 이제 유엔이나 국제사회에서 이제 북한 인권 문제 또 정치범 성수 문제가 굉장히 이슈화가 되고 있고 또 이 문제를 해결하기 위해서 이제 유엔에서 이 북한 정치범 성수 조사위원회가 설립이 돼가지고 지금 한참 한국이나 일본에서 지금 조사 활동을 지금 활발하게 하고 있습니다.
And now, starting from last year, actually, the United Nations and other members of the international community have taken a big interest and been involved with the political prison camp situation in North Korea. And most recently, the United Nations established the COI, or the Commission of Inquiry on the Human Rights Situation in North Korea. And the COI was just in South Korea, hearing testimonies, and now they're in Japan to do their investigation.
이제 이 북한 인권 문제가 다른 이 캄보디아나 이 수단이나 또 이런 지금 이 시리아 이런 이집트 이런 문제들처럼 이렇게 국제사회가 볼 수 있고 또 이렇게 국제사회의 도움을 쉽게 받을 수 있는 그런 문제가 아니고 현재 지금 북한에서 자행되게 있는 끔찍한 일들이 일어나고 있지만 아직도 이렇게 그 끔찍한 일어나고 있는 그런 증거들이 아직 밖에 사람들이 이렇게 눈으로 확인할 수 없는 증거들이거든요, 현재는.
And regarding the North Korean human rights situation, we see in countries in the past, such as Cambodia, or what happened with Sudan, or recently Egypt, and what we see happening in Syria with these issues. In these instances, we have the ability, or we've had the ability to get eyewitnesses to see what is going on as it happened, or to bring out the evidence of what happened. But regarding the North Korean human rights situation, we find it very difficult to get evidence from the country, and we must rely on the eyewitnesses of the defectors who became eyewitnesses who have come out of North Korea.
하지만 이제 여러분들도 잘 아시겠지만은 사실 여러분들도 밖이 너무 어둡고 이제 밖이 너무 캄캄하고 앞을 보지 못하면 아마 여러분들도 밖으로 나가기가 굉장히 두려울 겁니다. 이런 것처럼 이제 이 북한에서 가해지고 있는 고통도 굉장히 이제 앞이 보이지 않는 캄캄한 어둠 속에서 일어나고 있기 때문에 굉장히 무섭다는 거죠.
And as you may all know, when it is dark in a room, if you are surrounded by darkness, you are afraid to take another step or to get out of that darkness. And much in the same way, in North Korea, the human rights violations, the human rights atrocities is happening in a darkness where it is very difficult to bring light upon the situation right now.
그래서 이제 사실 이 북한 정치범 청소 문제가 이제 굉장히 국제사회에 많은 도움을 받아야 되고 또 그 도움 받았다고 해서 이제 해결될 수 있을지는 잘 모르겠지만 그래도 최소한의 노력에 그래도 여러분들이 관심을 가지고 이 어떠한 행동을 할지 이제 생각해 봐주시는 게 이제 이 청소 문제나 또 죽어가는 사람들한테 도움이 된다고 저는 생각을 하고 있습니다.
And it is my firm belief that the political prison camp issue of North Korea and regarding the North Korean human rights issue, this is an issue that must receive attention and help from the international community. And though I may not know whether more interest or more help may solve immediately the issue at hand of the prison camp, I believe that the more you show interest, the more you take action regarding this issue, it will help other people that are dying and suffering.
제가 이제 한 5분 정도의 제가 나오는 그 뉴스의 비디오를 보여드린 이유가 사실 제가 24년 동안 살았던 그 수용소의 스토리를 여기서 이제 한 20분 동안 여러분들한테 털어놓는 건 굉장히 이제 저한테도 어렵고 여러분들이 이해하기도 굉장히 어렵기 때문에 잠깐 좋은 뉴스 비디오를 보시고 저한테 이제 그렇게 짧아간 질문들을 해주시면은 짧은 시간 동안에 제가 거기에 맞는 질문 최대한 답을 해드리도록 하겠습니다.
And so the reason why I showed the short video clip, 5-minute video clip, is the reason is because in a short time frame encapsulates very well the 24 years of my life that I spent in the prison camp. And for me, hopefully you'll understand, but it's very difficult for me to continue to talk and share about the past of my life. And so I wanted to show this and give you a background about my situation. And if there are anyone here that would like to ask me any questions, I would be more than happy to, as best as possible, answer the questions you may have regarding this issue at hand.
Yeah, please. 사실 물론 제가 거기서 수용소에서 태어났고 24살 될 때까지 쭉 살았었지만은 거기서 태어나서 살 때까지 내가 무슨 죄를 지었기 때문에 그 안에서 태어나게 됐고 무슨 죄를 지었기 때문에 누굴 죽을 때까지 수용소에서 살아야 된다는 그런 거에 대해서는 전혀 알 수 있는 방법도 없었고 누가 저한테 가르쳐 주려고 하지도 않았었죠.
In my case, I did not know why I was born in a prison camp or why I had to live there. No one told me. I did not expect anyone to tell me why. I just accepted it as the reality or the situation that I was in.
하지만 이제 북한의 이런 정치범 수용소가 만들어지기 시작한 게 1950년대 말부터 이제 본격적으로 수용소가 만들어지기 시작을 했고요. 또 이 수용소에 그때 당시 이 수용소에 같이 있던 사람들인 경우에는 김일성의 그 체제를 안정시키는데 방해가 된다고 생각했던 사람들을 굉장히 이제 많이 숙청을 해가지고 이 수용소에 가뒀다고 저는 그렇게 뭐 배우진 않았지만 그렇게 저는 알고 있고 이해를 하고 있습니다.
And this is after I came out of North Korea and as I educated myself, but I read and learned that the political prison camp system was started in North Korea around the late 1950s, and this was done by Kim Il-sung, the then ruler, to get rid of any factions that might oppose him. So this was a system to hold and contain elements of society that might be a threat to Kim Il-sung and his regime, and to purge the people.
이제 굉장히 이제 특이한 점은 이제 이 수용소에 잡혀 들어갈 때 본인이 잘못해서 잡혀 들어가는 것뿐만이 아니라 그 가족들이라든지 자기 자식들뿐만이 아니라 그 친척들까지 또 친척에서 그와 연계된 모든 사람들이 한꺼번에 잡혀 들어간다는 것이죠. 그래서 이제 제 가족들인 경우에도 제 아버지나 제 엄마도 어린 나이에 수용소에 잡혀 들어갔고 또 친척들 모두가 다 아버지 가족들이라든지 모든 친척들이 다 같이 이제 수용소에 잡혀 들어갔는데 그때가 한 1960년에서 65년 경에 수용소에 잡혀 들어갔다고 그렇게 들었었습니다.
And what is horrifyingly unique about the North Korean political prison camp system is that it's not just the person accused of a crime that is sent to the prison camp, but it's the person's parents, children, relatives, or anyone related to that person who's been accused by the regime. And in the case of my family, I understood that it was my mother and father and their relatives that were sent at an early age, in the mid-60s, to the prison camp because they were all connected with the accused with the crime as told by the regime to the accused.
사실 이 정치범 수용소에 잡혀 들어갈 때 그 죄를 지은 사람들이 그 죄가 명확하지는 않습니다. 뭐 김일성의 사진을 뭐 찢었다고 해서 잡혀 들어가는 사람도 있을 거고 또 김일성에 대한 뭐 이상한 말을 했다고 해서 잡혀 들어가는 사람도 있을 거고 굉장히 이제 많은 광범위한 그런 죄목들이 포함이 되기 때문에 사실 이게 굉장히 또 큰 문제라고 생각을 하고 있죠.
Regarding the crime for being sent to the prison camp, it could be anything from as small as being accused of crumbling or hanging the picture or portrait of Kim Il-sung in a crooked way or not showing enough respect to the portrait, or for the minutest of reasons, people will be sent to the political prison camps.
So I have the microphone, I have the power. Every human being who deserves to be named human agrees that we have to change the situation in North Korea. Could you tell us how we can do this and how we can help what are the movement now which deals with it?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
the answer could come.
사실 제가 많은 나라를 방문했고 이제 많은 정치인들을 만나봤었고 또 많은 사람들을 만났을 때 제일 많이 받는 질문이 이제 그 질문이죠.
I visited many countries and met many politicians and powerful people, and that question that the gentleman just asked is perhaps the question that I am asked the most.
하지만 이제 아쉽게도 그 저한테는 이제 이런 이 북한에서 일어나고 있는 여러 가지 이제 실상들에 대해서 해결할 수 있는 그런 방법은 제가 알지 못하고 있습니다. 물론 저도 그 방법을 찾기 위해서 굉장히 많이 노력을 하고 있지만 아직까지 이제 그 방법을 찾지 못하고 있습니다.
However, unfortunately for me, the solution to that needs to come up to deal with the situation in North Korea, the North Korean human rights situation, I do not know the clear-cut answer for that. However, I am still studying, researching, and finding in my own way what to do about the situation.
예, 제가 이 자리에서 말씀드릴 수 있는 거는 이제 만약에 저희 얘기를 들으시고 제 얘기에 이해를 하시고 또 공감을 하신다면은 바로 그 여러분들한테 이 해결할 수 있는 답이 있다는 거죠.
However, what I would like to say is that what I can tell all of you is that if you hear my talk, if you hear my story, and if you agree that it is a horrible situation, if you decide to get involved, to show interest, then I believe that is the beginning of all of us coming together to indeed find the solution and to find ways to deal with this situation in North Korea.
제가 이렇게 말씀드리는 이유는 사실 북한 사람들 또 뭐 물론 정치범 중에서 살고 있는 수십만의 그 정치범 죄수들이 자유라는 단어 자체, 자유라는 그런 말의 의미 자체를 전혀 모르고 살고 있습니다. 근데 여러분들은 이 자유라는 것이 어떤 거고 자유가 얼마나 소중하고 얼마나 귀한 것인지 여러분들 너무나도 잘 알고 있기 때문에 이런 해결할 수 있는 방법을 찾는데 굉장히 여러분들은 굉장히 큰 도움이 되고 그 방법을 알고 있다고 이제 말씀드리고 싶죠.
And the reason why I answer your question like this is because the people in the political prison camps in North Korea, the inmates, they do not know what freedom is. They do not know what the word means. However, all of you here today know what freedom is. You know how precious freedom is, and you know how sacred freedom is. So I believe that all of you, from the perspective of knowing what freedom is, knowing about this issue and getting involved will be a tremendous help to the issue overall.
굳이 제가 이제 방법을 설명해 드린다면은 뭐 이 독재자 지금 전 세계에서 뭐 미국이나 유럽이나 많은 사람들이 평양을 방문하면서 뭐 관광을 하면서 굉장히 많은 돈을 쓰고 오고 굉장히 이제 이 북한 독재자에게 도움이 되는 여러 가지 행동들을 많이 하고 있는 것에 대해서 저는 굉장히 많이 보고 있거든요. 그래서 이제 굳이 방법이라고 한다게 되면은 이 독재자한테 도움이 되는 그런 행동이나 그런 여러 가지 액션을 하지 말아야 된다는 게 저의 생각입니다.
And if I want to be a little bit more specific, I would just conclude by answering by saying that right now we see many people from the United States and in particular from Europe who travel as tourists to North Korea, to Pyongyang. And I see this as action that ultimately only helps the regime. So if there is a clear-cut answer to your question, sir, I would say that just don't do anything that would end up helping or giving aid to the regime in North Korea.
If we see experience from the Soviet system in the 30s, it was very wasteful with people's life. And they had to change the system when the Second World War broke out in order to get more labor power out of people. What the little we know is that the economic circumstances in North Korea is very bad. So increased pressure might force the government to improve the circumstances in the camp in order to get more labor productivity out of the people. But in the end, the only way to stop this is to get rid of the regime. So, learning from the experience with Soviet Union, all kind of appeasement is unproductive. All kind of appeasement is useless.
네. 제가 한국에 탈출하고 나서 이제 한국으로 와서 제가 살았던 그런 특수한 상황 때문에 이제 많은 것을 이제 많은 여러 가지 역사적인 그런 히스토리들을 찾아봤고 이제 여러 가지 수용소 독일에서 일어났던 일들 또 이 러시아에서 일어났던 일들 또 캄보디아에서 일어났던 일들 뭐는 이제 이런 스토리들을 굉장히 찾아보면서 느꼈던 게 아까 저한테 말씀해 주셨던 것처럼 근본적인 뿌리를 제거해야지만이 이제 이거를 멈출 수 있다는 그런 답을 그런 뭐 이게는 원론적인 답을 찾긴 했었지만 이제 굉장히 이제 어려운 문제인 것 같습니다.
In response to your statement, after I escaped North Korea and after I resettled in South Korea, I had some opportunity to do my own research on my own and research and study time into history of what happened with, for example, in Germany or the former Soviet Union, Cambodia, and other instances of genocide and atrocities. And I do believe that in order to deal with the evil, the root cause must be pulled out. And even though it's easy for us to say the root must be pulled out, that obviously is a very difficult situation that we must deal with.
Hi. First of all, thank you for sharing your story. And from what we can tell is, being in such an extreme condition as a concentration camp, we saw that they forced people to do something which is highly unnatural, and we're very sorry about this, and destroying what's human in people. And what I was wondering, if for how much you might have been able to know about the rest of society in Korea. For instance, when you were trying to escape, are the rest of people aware of what's happening? Are they so scared, or they were like trying to help you hide while you were? So what's the rest? Is this kind of inhumanity also spread outside the concentration camps?
일단 이제 북한의 모든 사람들, 북한에서 살고 있는 모든 사람들은 이 정치범 수용소 존재에 대해서 너무나도 잘 알고 있고, 그들의 행동이나 말을 잘못했을 경우에 정치범 수용소에 잡혀 들어간다는 것을 너무나도 잘 알고 있고, 또 실제로 이제 여기에 굉장히 많은 이제 무서움이나 공포를 느끼고 살고 있는 게 대부분의 북한 사람들이죠.
So the people of North Korea, the average citizens, they do know about the political prison camp situation and the existence of it. They know that if they were to do anything that would go against the regime or anger the regime, they know that they would be prime targets to be sent to the prison camp.
그래서 이제 제가 탈출했을 당시에 저는 이제 제가 수용소에 살다가 나왔다고 이렇게 사람들한테 밝힐 수는 없었습니다. 왜냐하면은 이제 만약 제가 사람들 앞에서 내가 수용소에서 탈출했다고 그러면 그들은 분명히 이 경찰이나 이 간수들한테 신고를 했기 때문이죠. 북한은 대부분의 이제 이 신고라는 그런 게 너무나도 이제 많이 이렇게 돼 있기 때문에 제가 함부로 이렇게 제 신분에 대해서 밝힐 수는 없었습니다.
And during my attempt to escape from North Korea, the people that I met along the way, I could not obviously tell the people that I met that I was an escapee from the prison camp, because you have to understand that North Korea was a situation, environment where if I were to tell that to the people that I met, these are North Korean citizens living on the outside world, outside of the camps, then they would most likely, surely would have reported me or reported my meeting to the authorities, to the National Security Agency, and to the police.
그래서 그때 당시 내가 어떠한 물건을 훔치고 어떠한 집에 들어가서 도둑질을 하지 않는 이상에는 뭐 그들이 나를 도와주거나 이렇게 내가 도움을 받을 수 있는 그런 환경이나 그런 게 북한에는 전혀 이제 안 돼 있었기 때문에, 북한 사람들 모두가 다 어려운 삶을 살고 있었기 때문에 예, 그렇게 쉽게 도움 받을 수는 없었죠.
And at that time, during my escape, I could not receive such help from the other people, the citizens that I met in North Korea. So I had to, therefore, as is revealed in the book, go into empty houses and take things from these houses. And the situation in North Korea was not one where people would freely give help to a stranger that was in need of help.
I have a question about your escape from North Korea. I was wondering how you managed to cross the border and how you were received by the Chinese authorities having crossed the border illegally, and how the Chinese communist authorities treated you, and what the attitude is to escapees in general from North Korea, and what they do with them.
제가 이제 제가 수용소 살 때는 북한 밖의 상황에 대해서 전혀 아는 게 전혀 없었죠. 내가 수용소 안에서 생각할 수 있었던 거는, 수용소 밖의 사람들도 나랑 똑같은 죄수였었고, 그들도 똑같이 이제 그렇게 정말 고통속에 산다고만 생각하고 있었지 전혀 이제 아는 게 없었습니다.
Now, when I was growing up and living in the prison camp in North Korea, I did not know about the outside world. I just assumed that people outside the walls or outside the fence of the prison camp were people just like me, who were inmates and who were living in the same or similar environment as I was living in.
하지만 이제 제가 수용소를 탈출하고 나서 북한 이런 사회를 이해하지 못해도 이렇게 눈으로 보고 이제 느낄 수 있었던 건 한 일주일이면 충분했었죠. 이제 많은 사람들이 나갔고, 그냥 수용소는 아니지만은 그냥 뭐 굉장히 굶주려 있었고, 제 모든 게 이제 다 어떠한 권력에 의해서 이제 모든 게 다 지배되는 사회다 보니까 이제 굉장히 좀 쉽게 이제 이 사회에 대해서 이제 이해를 좀 느낄 수는 있었습니다.
And once I escaped, it took me a very short time, about a week or so, for me to see the surrounding situation around me, even though I did not understand it at first. But I realized right away that there was, even in quote-unquote free North Korean society outside the prison camp, there was a power structure and there was a system to the way society was organized. And this was very noticeable to me once I escaped from the prison camp.
실제로 이제 그때 이제 2005년 그때 당시에 제가 이제 국경 쪽으로 올라가서 중국을 넘을 때에 실제 그 국경을 지키고 있는 군대가 보는 앞에서 제가 이제 국경을 넘게 됐었거든요. 이제 그 국경을 지키는 군대인 경우는 이제 나이가 17살 됐고 굉장히 어린 그런 군대였었는데, 이제 군대에서 굉장히 어렵고 이제 여러 가지 힘든 생활을 하다 보니까 조그마한 어떠한 물건에도 이제 쉽게 이제 이 사람들 넘어가게 이렇게 승인해주는, 그때 당시는 이제 그런 환경들이었었죠.
So in 2005, after my escape from the prison camp, I made my way towards the China-North Korea border, and I actually crossed the river crossed the river from North Korea to China in front of the border guard. And this particular border guard that saw me cross the river was a very young 17-year-old military soldier, border guard, and the situation for him was very difficult. He was hungry himself. He was living in a very deplorable situation. So for him and for other border guards, it was very easy at that time to just give a little stuff, a little bit of food or anything to basically bribe or basically allow the other citizens to cross the river, and they would turn the other way.
그래서 이제 저는 이제 그렇게 중국에 넘어가게 돼가지고 한 거의 1년 동안 이제 산속에 숨어서 살다가 이제 그 굉장히 이제 이 신변의 위험을 느껴가지고 이제 그 남쪽으로 내려가서 이제 상해 한국 대사관에 진입을 해서 이제 결국은 한국까지 오게 됐죠.
And once I crossed the river into China, I lived in hiding for about a year in the mountains in China. And because I felt danger, felt the sense of danger to my well-being and my security, being so close to the border area with North Korea, I moved further south in China to Shanghai. And from then on, I was able to escape and resettle in South Korea from there.
물론 이제 저처럼 이렇게 탈출해서 넘어오는 사람들도 있지만은 이 탈북자들 전체 탈북자들 중에 거의 한 75%, 80% 정도가 여자들입니다. 이 남자들 비율은 굉장히 좋고 뭐 그 이유에 대해서는 이제 남자들 대부분이 17살 되면 모두가 다 군대에 의무적으로 나가야 돼서 그런지 모르겠지만 아무튼 한 거의 80%가 다 여자들이 이 탈북 비율이 굉장히 높거든요.
And of course, there are many North Koreans that crossed the river and escaped and defected from North Korea to China. And however, almost 75 to 80% of the North Koreans that cross the river are women. And I do not know the exact reason why most of the people that cross the river from North Korea to China are women. But I think one of the reasons has to be with the fact that North Korean males, when they turn 17, they have to go into 10 years of compulsory military service. So perhaps that's why it's only the women who are left to be able to escape from North Korea and cross the river into China.
근데 이제 또 이런 7, 80%의 여자들 중에서 또 한 7, 80% 정도는 그런 여자들은 또 이 북한이나 중국 쪽에 어떠한 이제 이런 인신매매 브로커에 의해서 이제 팔려오고 또 북한에서 살면서 굉장히 어렵고 이 빚을 갚기 위해서 이제 약간의 그런 식량하고 이제 식량 때문에 이제 여러 가지 뭐 원인들 때문에 이제 팔려서 이제 중국의 뭐 시골의 남자들이나 또 이런 그런 데서 팔려가고 하는 그런 굉장히 이제 심각한 문제들이 일어나고 있죠.
Now, from the women, about 70 to 80% of the women who cross the river into China, these women, the 70 to 80% of these women are sold into human trafficking rings, where they're either tricked or sold into these trafficking rings by brokers and sold to Chinese poor farmers, poor Chinese farmers who in the countryside who, for whatever reason, could not get married. So the only way they could find a wife is through these illegal human trafficking rings and with these North Korean refugee women. So it's a very serious situation for the North Korean women who cross the river from North Korea to China.
그래서 이제 제가 굉장히 충격받았던 거는 10대 여자인 경우에는 얼마만큼의 값이 나가고 20대 여자인 경우는 얼마만큼 값이 나가고 또 30대 여자인 경우는 얼마만큼 값이 나가고 이렇게 나이에 따라서 이렇게 값을 매겨가지고 이렇게 이 국경 쪽에서 이제 뭐 물론 뭐 몰래 이렇게 비밀리에 하지만은 그래도 거의 뭐 이 합법적이다시피 이렇게 이런 인신매매가 굉장히 성행하고 지금도 현재 그렇게 성행하고 있는 거죠.
And what was most shocking for me was that I found out later that these Chinese brokers, human traffickers, they set a price structure that's different according to the age group. So if a North Korean defector young girl is in her teens, then that would command the highest price. Women in her 20s, 30s, 40s, according to each age level, the price will be different. And it's almost a situation where the the Chinese government, they know what is going on, but they're basically doing nothing about the human trafficking situation of these North Korean refugee women. So it's a very serious and sad situation.
작년에 제가 서울에 있을 때 중국 쪽에서 어떤 탈북자 여성이 이제 구해 달라고 하는 그런 연락을 받아가지고 그 여자를 구하기 위해서 여러 가지 경로를 통해서 이렇게 그 여자를 구하기 위해서 여러 가지 이제 계획을 세우고 이제 실행에 옮겼던 적이 있었습니다.
And last year in Seoul, a North Korean defector woman in China got in touch with me and my network of friends and people that are involved in this issue, and she pleaded for help for us to rescue her. So we set in motion a plan and an action to try to rescue her from China.
그래서 이제 저는 이제 그를 돕기 위해서 이제 여러 가지 연락을 해가지고 그 여성을 데리러 이제 그 사람들이 가고 있었는데 이제 그 여자의 그런 남편이 그 사실을 알고 이제 문 밖에 도끼를 들고 이제 서 있으면서 이제 우리가 사람들이 데려오면은 이제 도끼를 죽이겠다고 이렇게 위협을 하면서 이제 그렇기 때문에 데리러 가다가 끝내 그 여자를 구하지 못하고 이제 다시 되돌아서게 됐었던 그런 스토리가 있었죠.
And so I set in motion a plan to rescue her. So I made contact with all my friends and network in South Korea and in China to try to rescue this woman. But we found out later that the Chinese husband, quote unquote husband, found out about this rescue, and he stood by the door with an axe, threatening to kill the woman if people came to rescue her. So unfortunately, we were not able to rescue her.
그래서 굉장히 이런 거는 이제 유엔에서도 이제 이 문제에 대해서 굉장히 심각하게 생각을 하고 이제 이렇게 뭐 논란이 많이 일어나고 있는 문제긴 한데 이 외에도 이제 여자들이 중국에 나와서 이제 몸 파는 일을 그런데 팔려가가지고 몸 파는 일을 해야 되고 또 노래방 같은데 팔려가가지고 이런 여러 가지 몸 파는 일을 해야 되는 그런 여러 가지 일들이 굉장히 많이 일어나고 있습니다.
And this issue of North Korean refugee women being trafficked in China, it's an issue that the UN has taken considerable interest and action on. And it's an unfortunate situation because many of these refugee women, they end up in prostitution or they work in seedy karaoke bars, and they're just in a very unfortunate situation. So it's sad overall.
Your book is the very next thing which I will read, and I'm sorry if the answer to the question which I'm now going to ask is in the book. But you were in this camp for 24 years, and there were many other people in the camp as well. Did you at any time know what the purpose of the camp was? And if you didn't know that it was a political prison camp, what did you think it was for?
일단은 이제 뭐 제 아버지나 제 엄마인 경우에는 이제 그 안에서 밖에서 사에서 살다가 이제 몇십 년 전에 잡혀 들어왔기 때문에 어떤 생각하고 있는지는 잘 모르죠. 그렇지만 저희 경우에는 이제 그 안에서 태어났고 처음으로 눈을 보고 처음으로 이제 귀를 들었을 때에 내 눈앞에 보였던 거는 이제 총을 차게 되는 간수와 또 제습을 입게 되는 죄수, 이제 이게 전부였었기 때문에 나는 자연스럽게 이 정치범 수용소에 대해서 너무나도 이제 그 나의 삶의 일부였던 거죠. 내가 사는 것에 대해서 전혀 다른 생각을 하게 되거나 그런 생각 자체를 해본 적은 없었습니다.
As I mentioned before, my mother and father were sent to the prison camp at an earlier age, and they never told me or talked to me about why they were sent. And for me, the first thing I remember seeing of my life in the prison camp was of prison guards carrying rifles and of inmates wearing prison garb. So for me, this was just a natural environment that I accepted. This was the norm for me.
이제 제가 어렸을 때 저 간수가 저 어린 그런 저뿐만 아니라 다른 어린 그런 죄수들한테 이런 얘기를 했던 적이 있었죠. 너희들은 이제 너희 가족들은 원래 죽어야 됐었지만 우리 법은 이제 살려줬다. 그렇기 때문에 살려준 보답을 하기 위해서는 너희들이 열심히 일을 해서 그 일 열심히 해가지고 살려준 곳에 이제 보답을 해야 된다. 이런 말을 수없이 많이 저희들한테 했었죠.
And starting from an earlier age, I remember the prison guards telling me and other young inmates and other children of the camp that, and this was told many times over, was that your family deserved to die, your parents deserved to die, but because we were kind enough to let them live and allow you to live, you must repay this kindness by working hard for the rest of your life in this place. And that was told to us over and over again.
전반적으로 이제 제가 이 수용소의 사람들의 생활을 표현을 하고 싶다 그러면은 뭐 짐승하고 많이 비교를 하는데 사실 수용소에 살고 있는 개나 돼지나 이런 쥐보다도 못한 삶을 살고 있는 게 이 정치범 죄수들이라고 저는 말씀드리고 싶고, 왜 그렇게 말씀드리냐면은 짐승들도 죄수보다 나은 삶을 살고 있거든요. 자기가 가고 싶을 때 가고 싶은 데 가고 먹고 싶을 때 먹고, 뭐 새도 날아가고 싶을 때 날아가고, 뭐 음식을 먹고 싶을 때 먹고. 하지만 정치범 죄수들은 이제 간수가 시키는 것만 해야 되고, 간수가 주는 음식만 먹어야 되고, 간수가 주는 옷만 입어야 되고, 죄수들이 할 수 있는 건 조금도 없거든요.
And if there was one word to describe the life or the existence description of the inmates in the prison camp, the best way to describe them would be as animals, living life like animals. However, let me further say that even though they were living like animals, the animals that were grown and kept in the prison camp lived better than the inmates themselves. And I say this because the animals, the cows or the dogs or the chickens, they could eat whenever they want. They could pluck stuff from the ground to eat. They could wander anywhere they want. The birds could fly anywhere they want, so they had freedom, whereas the inmates did not have any freedom at all. They could only eat or move or do things only with the permission from the prison guards. So in that sense, we were like animals, but worse than animals.
정치범 죄수들이 이런 생활을 하고 있지만은 그래도 수용소는 정치범 죄수들을 필요로 하죠. 그 이유는 정치범 수용소 안에 여러 가지 공장이나 탄광이나 광산, 이런 농장, 이런 일할 수 있는 것들을 굉장히 많이 만들어 놓고 죄수들을 일을 값싼 정말 공짜다시피 이런 죄수들을 일을 시켜가지고 그 안에서 나오는 석탄이라든지 곡식이라든지 농작물 같은 거를 이제 간수들이 자기네가 소비하기 위해서 이 죄수들을 이제 일을 시키는 거죠.
And while the prison inmates lived like animals or worse than animals in the prison camp system itself needed the inmates as a source of labor for the mines or the factories or the farmland within the prison camp. The inmates were used as very inexpensive or almost free source of labor to cultivate and to bring out the coal and to manufacture goods in the factory for use for the prison guards themselves or to be sent out for the regime's use.
그리고 또 이 정치범 죄수들은 또 일하다가 죽든지 아니면 매 맞아서 죽든지 아무튼 거기서 누구까지 살다가 죽든지 그 누가 상관하는 사람이 없고 그 누가 아는 사람이 전혀 없기 때문에 굉장히 이 북한 독재 정권이나 이런 정치범 수용소 입장에서는 굉장히 효율적인 그런 굉장히 이제 효율적이고 굉장히 이제 경제적인 그런 어떠한 무슨 기기들처럼 생각하고 있는 거죠.
And of course, in the prison camp system, many of these inmates, as they were working, they could die from accidents or they can die from things that happened while they were working or die of old age. But no one cared about these inmates dying, these silent, nameless deaths. And of course, from the perspective of the regime, this is an excellent and almost effective and very economical source of labor and for them to enrich themselves through the prison camp system.
How much focus was there on re-education? Did you receive any formal training in the Juche ideology? And did you ever see, have you ever seen anyone being released because he was considered no longer a threat to the regime? Or was it really just extermination by working people to death?
This is your last question. The extended time that we allotted for
아쉽지만 이제 수용소 살면서 단 한 번도 김일성이 김정일에 대해서 교육받은 적도 없고 단 한 번도 이제 거기에 대한 여러 가지 보거나 이제 들어본 적도 없었습니다. 왜냐하면은 이제 이 사람들은 이제 제가 처음에 말씀드렸던 것처럼 이제 짐승보다도 이제 못한 그런 인간들이었었기 때문에 언제든지 죽여야 되고 죽을 수도 있는 사람들이었기 때문에 그런 교육을 시킬 필요가 없었다고 이제 저는 그 사람들이 느꼈던 것 같고 저희들도 실제로 이제 거기에 대해서 이제 알으려고 하거나 이제 보거나 본 적은 없었죠.
And as I briefly mentioned this before, for me, I was never taught about Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il or about the Juche ideology or anything else. Looking back now, I felt that the prison guards deemed us as worse than animals or just like animals, and we were not worthy of being told about Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il, or even about the North Korean ideology system. So I feel that this is what they thought, and that's the way they treated us, that we were not even worthy of being told about what was going on in the outside world and about the leaders of North Korea.
북한 사람들 모두가 다 가지고 있는 김일성, 김정일 사진을 이제 우리 정치범 수용소에서 정치범 죄수들이 사는 곳에서는 단 한 번도 볼 수가 없었고, 또 간수들도 이제 이런 부분들에 대해서 저희들한테 가르치려고 하지도 않았었고, 내 경우도 이제 그런 것에 대해서 전혀 태어날 때부터 몰랐었기 때문에 전혀 관심을 두진 않았었죠.
And the Kim Il-sung portraits and statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il that are prevalent throughout North Korean society, in North Korean home, I did not see anything like that, at least in the part of the camp where I lived and where I grew up. And the prison guards probably did not even want to teach anything about those people or the ideology to us because, again, they viewed us as less than human, as subhuman, and as animals.
그래서 이제 그 뭐 정말 이 북한의 이제 수용소라는 것은 이제 전 세계 어디에서도 찾아볼 수가 없는 굉장히 좀 독특하고 굉장히 이해할 수 없는 그런 일들이 일어나고 있지만은 그래도 그 수용소 안에서 고통당하고 있는 사람들의 입장에서는 그 여러분의 도움을 굉장히 절실하게 원하고 있고 뭐 어떠한 도움이든지 간에 뭐 아무튼 누군가는 이제 그들을 도와야지만 그들이 이제 뭐 죽을 때라도 이렇게 조금이라도 이제 그런 마음의 그런 평안을 느끼고 이제 죽을 수 있는 그런 그런 삶을 우리들은 이제 만들어줘야 된다고 생각을 하고 있죠. 그래서 이제 늦게 시간까지 이제 제 얘기를 들어줘서 굉장히 감사합니다.
And in closing, I just want to say that the situation in North Korea, the overall deplorable human rights situation in North Korea, and in particular the political prison camp situation in North Korea, it is one that we do not see anywhere else in the world currently, and it is a very sad and deplorable and very unbelievable situation going on in North Korea right now. And I want to say that the inmates that are still in the camps throughout North Korea, that they would want your help, that they would want your interest and your solidarity. So I feel that if they were to know that all of you show concern and care, that if and when they do die and pass away from this life, that they would have some sort of peace knowing that people outside the camps cared about them and got involved in this issue.
이제 제가 원래 끝내려고 했었는데 질문하셨던 것 중에서 한 가지 제가 빼먹을 뻔해가지고 사실 관에서 살다가 이제 뭐 합법적으로 나간 사람은 전혀 본 적은 없고 탈출하다가 잡혀서 공개 채용 당하는 거는 몇 번 봤었습니다. 그렇기 때문에 제가 20년 동안 살면서 생각했던 거는 절대로 이렇게 막 죄수로 일단 잡혀 들어와서 살다가 이제 합법적으로 나갈 수 없는 것이 이 정치범 수용소라고 생각을 하고 있습니다.
And I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question, but simply put, I never saw anyone released from the prison camp while I was there. However, I saw quite a few inmates being executed publicly within the prison camp. So the prison camp system in North Korea is a situation where one would not easily be released from the system. And I just want to thank all of you for staying so late. I apologize for going over the time and for hearing my story. Thank you very much.